The disabled tyrant's beloved pet fish. Transmigration. Chapter 7, Fish Noddle. Jingwan carried Liu and headed off to Ganking Palace. In the middle of the trip, the inactive system suddenly gave Liu a notification. Side mission, the iridescent pearl has reached its requirements. Does host wish to start it? Liu. What's going on? He hasn't even gotten along with Jingwan yet and here comes another task. And it seems like a side quest? It's hard to tell just by looking at the task name itself. Liu didn't really want to give more trouble to himself. Worrying about the main task and then adding on a side quest as well, this fish's head would be under a heavy strain. Yet out of curiosity, he still asked about the reward. System, the reward of this quest is a temporary shape-shifting pill. It can help the host temporarily change back to human. The effect of the pill will last for 2 hours. If host fail in the side quest, there is no punishment. Liu. So there's actually a pill that could change him back into a human? Such a good thing, how come you didn't say that earlier? Liu thought astutely, even if it's only 2 hours, he can do this kind of task a few more times and save up on the reward to use in the future. Then, wouldn't he be able to maintain a human shape continuously? This is a one-time reward in face of the host's naivete and stupidity, the system sternly notified. Liu. Alright, I just knew you're a shitty system. Nevertheless, he must do the side quest. It didn't matter if he failed after all. If he had the shape-shifting pill, he can pick a suitable day. In 2 hours, he can eat many different human foods and talk freely. He could even go wherever he wanted. He was originally human, not fish. It was only after he turned into a fish that he realized how carefree and nice it was to be a human. Although it was only a mere 2 hours, how great would it be to experience being human again? Liu. Isn't it just doing one more task? I'll do it. The side quest named Iridescent Pearl only have one instruction under it: obtain a night luminescent pearl. The shitty system has always been unclear and vague. Liu was already used to it. He didn't know at all what a fish like him had anything to do with the night luminescent pearl. But because the system explained previously that side quests activated when certain requirements were reached, and this new side quest activated as Jingwan was carrying him to Ganking Palace. This indicated that this task might be related to meeting the Emperor. In other words, this task wasn't completely out of the way. Although Jingwan was royalty, he didn't like to ride on a palanquin. He carried the little carp fish with Wang Shi following behind him and casually walked towards the Ganking Palace. Luo Ruisheng, the head steward of the Imperial Palace, had already been waiting at the entrance of Ganking Palace for a long time. As soon as he saw Jingwan, he headed forward to welcome him and led him into the palace. Wang Shi was not allowed to enter, so he could only wait anxiously outside. Since they finally arrived, Liu deliberately swam to the surface to take a look, enjoying the view of Ganking Palace briefly. As expected of the private chambers of an emperor, the scent of sandalwood wafted through the air. The area was splendid and magnificent, filled with various rare and priceless decorations. This fish's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. However, though this place was beautiful, there was no fish bowls. Liu still preferred places with porcelain fish bowls. It was only on this trip did he learn that Jingwan had arranged for him to stay in Jingtai Hall. The Jingtai Hall was Jingwan's private chambers in the Imperial Palace since he was young. Although he was later conferred the title of a king and left the palace, the Jingtai Hall was still being kept for Jingwan's use. It was truly Jingwan's territory. With a random stumble, he really managed to sneak right into the tyrant's lair. Liu felt a bit proud of himself. After looking around all over, Liu didn't discover any night luminescent pearl. The side quest appeared suddenly anyways. Liu could only hope the system would give some more hints. However, ever since the side quest activated, the shitty system no longer gave any more notifications. Liu can only set aside the side quest along with the main task. Without any leads, he can only follow the flow. Seeing the Emperor was more important here. In the novel, there were several background plots involving the Emperor and Jingwang. Jingwang's birth mother, Empress Xuěshān, had poor health even before giving birth to Jingwang. After giving birth, she suffered another blow after learning her son was a mute and ended up passing away. The Emperor had a lot of respect and love for Empress Xuěshān. Towards this son of his feelings have always been complicated. He was never close to Jingwang. As soon as Jingwang became 16 years old, the Emperor gave him an outside estate immediately. He didn't even care that Jingwang wasn't married yet. The other princes all received their estate at the same time as their wedding. Therefore, many people thought that Jingwang was extremely unfavored. Of course, these people didn't include Liu, who understood the entire plot of the story very well. The Emperor was distant with Jingwang not because he didn't love Jingwang, but rather as a covert method of protection. Jingwang was born of Empress Xuěshān who had a respectable family background. But because he was mute, no matter how prestigious his family background was, it was impossible for him to inherit the throne. Ordering Jingwang out of the imperial palace and into his own estate early was only to protect the son of his. The Emperor didn't like to be close to Jingwang because of his beloved wife's death. Yet deep down in his heart, he knew that this was his beloved wife's flesh and blood. He had hopes that the son could live peacefully for the rest of his life. Not to mention, Jingwang's personality actually wasn't that harmonious with others. When he was younger, whenever the other princes of about the same age as him would ridicule him for being mute, he would immediately roll up his sleeves and beat them up. After people complained about his behavior to the Emperor would punish everyone. Yet privately, he would warn the other princes to be nicer to Jingwang. Jingwang couldn't speak. It was much more difficult to educate him. The Emperor specifically appointed a strict teacher that specialized in teaching the deaf and mute. These were all ways that the Emperor showed favoritism towards Jingwang. It was just never said out loud in the open. Therefore, Liu didn't worry about this trip at all. Inside the main hall of Ganking Palace, the Emperor wore his distinctive gold dragon robes and sat properly on his dragon-engraved throne. Seeing Jingwang, he nodded his head and said, "Tianqi, you're here." Jingwang carried the porcelain bowl with the little carp, placed it on the tea table nearby and gave a serious and courteous bow. With a smile, the Emperor permitted him up, glancing at the sun from afar. Jingwang was still the same, cold and emotionless. The Emperor's gaze naturally landed on the porcelain bowl that Jingwang brought over. To the Emperor's knowledge, bowls were most often used to carry soup. Most people who carried bowls into the Ganking Palace brought them to present soup for him. The Emperor mistakenly thought that Jingwang was admitting his wrong here and specifically brought a bowl of soup over as a gift to him. The Emperor said with a smile, "You're rather considerate." Jingwang, who was unexpectedly misunderstood. The Emperor didn't usually show affections with this son. For Jingwang to want to make him happy, the Emperor felt an indescribable peace in his heart. He immediately ordered Luo Ruisheng to carry over the soup that Jingwang brought. Because Jingwang couldn't speak directly, his ability to stop the other was slowed. Luo Gonggong already picked up the porcelain bowl. To the side, another servant handed over a needle. This soup looked just like wolfberry fish soup. As per protocol, Luo Gonggong needed to test it for poison. He accepted the needle, lowered his head, and unexpectedly crossed gazes with the lively little carp fish who surfaced to check out what was happening outside. Luo Gonggong was quite startled. Hands shaking, he almost dropped the bowl. "Ayo, Your Highness Jingwang, what is this? What is this that you brought?" Liu was also scared terribly by Luo Gonggong, who suddenly appeared and sank to the bottom of the bowl with a thud. "It's actually alive?" Luo Gonggong was awed. "So it's not fish soup. What did Jingwang present?" The emperor was far away. With Luo Gonggong's cry of alarm, he also became confused. Luo Gonggong really didn't know how to answer. Jingwang got up, walked to Luo Gonggong and silently took away the porcelain bowl from his hands. The emperor? Jingwang personally brought the porcelain bowl in front of the emperor. However, he supported the bowl tightly in his hands, not holding it out with the intention of giving it to the emperor. The emperor. The emperor then saw that inside this large, painted with water ripple bowl was filled with a lot of water. And inside the water, a palm-sized carp was currently swimming around. The emperor was stunned and asked, "Jingwang, what do you mean by this?" Mu Tianqi smiled, fingers casually dipping into the water and stirring it slightly. At this time, Li Yu was secretly looking at the emperor's appearance from inside the water. The emperor was a short-bearded, square-faced big uncle-looking character. Li Yu was just secretly thinking, it's a good thing that only Jingwang's eyes looked somewhat similar to the emperor, while everything else was inherited from Empress Xiaohui. If he had inherited looks from the emperor, then his handsome looks would significantly drop. Probably because he was criticizing Jingwang in his heart, he was suddenly startled when Jingwang suddenly dropped his hands into the bowl. When he came to his senses, Li Yu noticed that Jingwang was actually only teasing him. Yet this was in front of the emperor. What was Jingwang trying to do? Ever since Jingwang switched him into a new bowl, Li Yu knew that Jingwang didn't plan to give him to the emperor. Because the outward appearance of a gift was most important. A small jade bowl was clearly much more pleasing to a ruler's eye than a gruffy big bowl painted with water ripples. Yet Jingwang abandoned the jade bowl and decided not to use it. That indicated that he wasn't going to use Li Yu to make the emperor happy. Then why would Jingwang bring him to see the emperor? Why would he make this gesture in front of the emperor? Who cares? If a master teased their pet, then the pet should respond. Li Yu endured his shame and swam towards Jingwang. It's not like this was the first time he deliberately acted cute towards Jingwang anyways. Li Yu arrived between Jingwang's fingers, hesitated briefly, then used his fish mouth to intimately rub against Jingwang's fingers. Oh! There's a fish food taste. It's even the good-tasting red-colored ones. At first, his actions were a bit stiff. In the end, he willingly chased the other's fingers as it frolicked around. Eyes lowered, Jingwang watched the happily frolicking little carp, a faint light appearing in his eyes. For a second, the emperor thought he saw wrong. Jingwang was usually cold and expressionless. He never revealed any emotions in front of the emperor before. Yet now he can be described as gently playing with a fish. Before, the emperor thought that Jingwang was a loner and secretly ordered someone to move over several cats and dogs from the animal house to accompany Jingwang. Yet Jingwang didn't even spare them a single glance, getting rid of them all. At that time, the emperor felt that Jingwang probably didn't like pets. But today, Jingwang actually made an exception for a fish? The emperor pondered several possibilities in a daze, and after a long time, he finally said with difficulty, "Are you trying to tell Zhen that you're taking care of a fish?" Mu Tianqi nodded his head. Jingwang really was raising a fish. The emperor was very surprised. However, now this son of his was finally acting a bit more normal. This could only be considered a good thing. The emperor looked at this fish again. This fish wasn't even a precious and auspicious koi. Just a completely ordinary little carp, looking exactly like the kind used to make soup. Jingwang's taste was really hard to ascertain. At this moment, the emperor had already forgotten why he had summoned Jingwang. With a twitch of his mouth, he said against his will, "Raising a fish is not bad." Jingwang. Li Yu also saw Jingwang nod his head. He felt like a pony was galloping across his heart with its head held high. Although Wang Gonggong and he himself already made certain that he was Jingwang's pet before, this was the first time Jingwang acknowledged this fact himself. To actually recognize Li Yu as his pet fish in front of the emperor, wasn't he making this fish too famous? Liu almost felt like he was floating away. The main mission of the Tyrant's guppy petfish was just for him to become Jingwang petfish. Now that Jingwang acknowledged him in front of the emperor, didn't that mean the main mission was completed? But after waiting for a while, Liu didn't hear the notification of a mission completion at all. Looks like acknowledging personally was no help. The shitty system didn't accept it. He still needed to continue working on this get-along mission. A servant came swiftly inside to report that the imperial consort and the second prince were outside asking for an audience. With this, the emperor finally remembered proper business and gave Jingwang a long and profound look. Back straight and properly upright, Jingwang continued playing with his fish without any reaction. With a slight sigh, the emperor said, "Let them in then." End chapter. The disabled tyrant's beloved pet fish. Transmigration. Chapter 8, Fish is angry. Liu was right beside Jingwang. After learning that the imperial consort was coming, he suddenly wanted to take a look at her. He already saw the emperor, who was pretty much the same as how he was written in the novel. Liu also wanted to know what this woman, who dared to mess with the tyrant, looked like. However, his location at the moment was a bit to the side. His line of sight was blocked and he couldn't see anything. Liu continuously swam around back and forth, trying to adjust his angle, but was still unable to achieve the desired result after several tries. Just as he thought he'd only be able to listen to the voices, Jingwang, who had been staring at him for a while, suddenly moved the bowl holding the fish, facing it at the door of the hall perfectly. Liu. What a coincidence. Did Jingwang realize that he wanted to see Imperial the consort? Although Jingwang was occasionally very thoughtful towards his pet fish, he shouldn't be this considerate, right? Maybe he only casually changed the position of the bowl on a whim. Liu very quickly convinced himself to stop thinking about all this nonsense. Since he can see now, then it's time to look boldly. Soon, a graceful-looking woman in a palace attire, followed by a burly and tall young man, stepped into the view surrounded by a number of attendants. Imperial consort Qi's hair was adorned with jade beads and pearls. She wore an elaborate robe of lavender with the hem of her dress embroidered with golden begonias in full bloom. With skin as white as snow, she was a stunning beauty. Imperial consort Qi took care of herself very well. If it were not for the burly and tall second prince following her, and the fact that the second prince's brows were somewhat similar to her, it would be hard to imagine that Imperial consort Qi was already over 30 years old. Liu couldn't help but sigh. With this kind of appearance, no wonder she's the most favored concubine of the emperor in the last few years. According to the narration in the novel, Imperial consort Qi was currently at the most successful period of her life. At this point, the emperor had already privately revealed to her that he intended to make the second prince, Mu Tianzhao, as the crown prince. The emperor was no different from most rulers in ancient history. He had hoped that the son of his main wife would inherit the throne. Many years ago, he once made Empress Xiao Hui's oldest son the crown prince. Unfortunately, the oldest prince died when he was 7 years old. After the emperor and empress grieved for a few years, Empress Xiao Hui then gave birth to the fourth prince. The emperor once again had plans to make him the crown prince. Unfortunately, the fourth prince was very unlucky. After catching a cold when he was 2 years old, he passed away. Experiencing the death of 2 sons one after another, Empress Xiao Hui's health became very poor. Nevertheless, regardless of her health, she gave birth to the fifth prince, who was the current Jingwang. However, the heavens played a cruel joke with the emperor and Empress Xiao Hui. This youngest son of the main wife who carried such high expectations ended up being born mute. Therefore, both the emperor and Empress Xiao Hui received such heavy blows. Then Empress Xiao Hui passed away. The emperor felt like he probably couldn't place any hope on the son of his main wife anymore and stopped proclaiming any crown prince. It's been over 20 years and now, he suddenly mentioned this matter again. Imperial consort Qi was wild with joy. Although everyone with eyes could see how much the emperor favored her in the last few years, he never shown any indications of making her the empress. But no matter. As long as her son, the second prince, can become the crown prince and inherit the throne in the future, it didn't matter if she became the empress or not. Imperial Consort Qi felt like her troubles were almost over and she was moments away from success. Even her stride was full of vigor. Imperial Consort Qi and the second prince bowed courteously. The emperor ordered the imperial consort to step forward. Since he planned to make the second prince the crown prince, he was willing to give this little honor to her. With a delicate smile, Imperial Consort Qi sat down next to the emperor's side and glanced at Jingwang from above with a victorious attitude, thinking with disdain. So what if you're the son of the previous empress? So what if you have a higher status than me? In the end, you'll still have to lower your head towards the crown prince, the future emperor. Imperial Consort Qi and the second prince exchanged a tacit smile. However, Jingwang didn't react at all. Without even a sideways glance, Jingwang continued to keep his fingers soaked in the porcelain bowl, idly squeezing the little carp's smooth, slippery back. Liu was a bit annoyed from being pinched here and there. Hey, you're using too much strength. This fish can't take it. Thus, Liu dodged Jingwang's finger with a whoosh and gave him a vigilant stare. Jingwang's finger landed on nothing. His dark eyes stared unblinkingly at the little carp. Liu felt as if the surrounding air suddenly became frigid. Is the tyrant angry because he wouldn't let him pinch him? Forget it. A good fish doesn't pick a fight with people, let alone its master. He knew that Jingwang was definitely unhappy to see Imperial Consort Qi sitting beside the emperor. Would any child enjoy it when another woman tried to take over their mother's position? Although Imperial Consort Qi was full of smiles, she was definitely showing off and provoking Jingwang. Considering Jingwang's poor mood, Liu very logically yielded and snuggled back over, rubbing against Jingwang's fingers himself, trying to appease him. You can squeeze. Just don't squeeze so hard, okay? Seeing this fish being cooperative, Jingwang pressed his lips together and continued to use his fingers to squeeze the fish's back. Liu silently endured. When he felt like he really couldn't bear Jingwang's strength anymore, he would swim flash to the side, waving his tail. However, after a moment, he'd swim back again and let Jingwang vent his anger. Jingwang also noticed, the little carp didn't seem to dislike his touch, but why did it keep dodging out of the way and then kept coming back? Was it because his strength was too much for a fish? Jingwang unconsciously moved his fingers more gently. Instantly, Liu felt more comfortable. Now that's much better. Having his spine squeezed wasn't that bad anymore. It was even a little ticklish. Liu curled the tip of his tail around Jingwang's fingers, expressing that he liked it. Jingwang found that this little carp was actually not especially hard to understand. One person and one fish immersed in their own little world, completely disregarding the reactions of the people around. The emperor already saw Jingwang like this before. He looked rather curiously at Jingwang interacting with the little carp. He never expected that this cold-hearted, cold-faced son of his would also play with a fish. Imperial Consort Qi's smile froze on her face. Jingwang acted like she didn't exist. To her, it felt like he was trying to humiliate her. What's going on with His Highness, Jingwang? Imperial Consort Qi attempted to make the emperor notice Jingwang's rudeness. Yet the emperor only said with a smile, Imperial Consort, Jingwang started raising a fish recently, what do you think? Imperial Consort Qi. Imperial Consort Qi naturally didn't care at all. She came here because she had a motive. How can she allow a dirty, grey fish to interrupt her plans? With how the emperor looked right now, he most likely forgot what she said before and felt soft-hearted towards Jingwang again. Imperial Consort Qi had already prepared a response. She gave the personal servant beside her an eye gesture. The servant received the message and withdrew. After a while, they returned back into the hall, carrying a snow-white ball, walking over quickly. With a delighted face, Imperial Consort Qi cradled the snow-white ball in her arms and stroked it, saying in a soft voice, "Your Majesty, now that you've seen Jingwang's fish, have you forgotten all about my Piao Shui?" At this moment, the emperor finally recalled the reason why he summoned Jingwang. He rubbed his nose awkwardly and smiled. The snow-white ball in Imperial Consort Qi's arms coordinated with its master's actions and raised its head with a meow. Liu, who was frolicking with Jingwang at that moment, suddenly heard this meow and was so surprised that even his fish scales were raised. Why would there be a cat in Ganking Palace? Liu carefully swam to the surface of the water, wanting to scout out the situation. He immediately saw the huge white cat that the Imperial Consort was carrying in her arms. Its sapphire-like eyes turned towards him in a flash. This shape, that sound. Wasn't this his enemy, that cat? Liu trembled and quickly dived into the water, but it was too late. The big white cat already discovered him and started to meow energetically. Struggling free from Imperial Consort arms, it pounced towards him, quick like an arrow. "Liu, oi! Help! The cat wants to eat this fish." Originally, he thought that if he see this cat, this enemy of his again, he would definitely think of a plan to escape sneakily. If worse comes to worse, he could use his tail to slap the cat viciously. But it wasn't until he finally encountered the cat again that he realized, the fish's instincts and the painful memory of being bitten by the cat made him scared and tremble relentlessly. Inside the bowl, Liu had no place to escape to. In a moment of desperation, he scrambled under Jingwang's palm and curled up into a ball, hoping the big white cat wouldn't see him. But he was only lying to himself. In the blink of an eye, the big white cat jumped up. The cat wasn't afraid of water. Raising its head, it was about to grab the fish with its mouth. The fish was just about to enter the cat's mouth again, but just in the nick of time, Jingwang gathered the little carp that was curled up into a ball into his hand and protected it. The white cat only managed to bite a mouthful of air. Meow. Missing its target, the white cat raised its head in bewilderment and saw a face that it could never forget. Meow. Instantly, the cat felt utter despair. Jingwang's face was like the winter frost. With a light flick of his finger, the white cat was thrown away, smashing into the leg of the servant that brought it in. The servant let out a painful cry. The white cat also felt quite dizzy from the toss. Standing up and shaking its head, it no longer dared to get any smart ideas over the fish. It immediately turned its head and rushed back into the Imperial Consort arms. Hidden under Jingwang's hand, Liu secretly nudged between the opening of Jingwang's fingers and looked outside, laughing so hard he rocked back and forth. As expected of his tyrant master, the big white cat ended up empty-handed again. Imperial Consort Qi saw that Jingwang actually dared to act like that in front of the emperor and was secretly delighted. Leaning down and picking up the white cat who was wailing non-stop, she made a show of examining it. Imperial Consort Qi pretended to scold it regretfully, "Piao Shui, you vile beast. Haven't you learned your lesson after being punished before? Why are you provoking Jingwang without reason again? Are you being disrespectful to me?" Liu was originally pretty happy, but hearing these words, he wanted to hop in anger. Outwardly, the Imperial Consort seemed to be reprimanding her cat. But in actuality, she was covertly reminding the emperor that this wasn't the first time Jingwang punished her pet. Look how disrespectful he was to her. After the Imperial Consort spoke, of course the second prince, Mu Tianzhao, had to support his mother. He chimed in, "Fifth brother is young and a bit mischievous, but not malicious. Father, mother, please do not blame him." Liu rolled his eyes to the sky and blew a huge bubble with a bow sound. Then he turned his tail in disdain at the second prince. The second prince's voice sounded gentle and kind, but he was even more vicious than the Imperial Consort. If imperial consort Qi could be considered speaking duplicitously, then the second prince was practically acknowledging the crime for Jingwang. He even deliberately mentioned that Jingwang was not malicious. Was he trying to make the emperor think in the opposite direction? These vile cannon fodders. Although Li Yu knew that Jingwang would inherit the throne later and that either Mu Tianzhao and imperial consort Qi had a good ending, with these two singing and echoing each other right now, taking advantage of the fact that Jingwang couldn't speak and didn't have Wang Shigonggong beside him, Li Yu felt somewhat worried. Jingwang saved him several times already. He can't just watch helplessly as Jingwang got bullied, right? But ultimately, he was only a fish. What can he do with this very prestigious mother and son pair? Li Yu was so angry he puffed up his mouth, swimming anxiously in circles inside the bowl. The imperial consort and her son's duplicitous words were effective. The emperor recalled the imperial consort's previous complaint and said with a sullen face, "Jingwang, I heard you threw the imperial consort cat on her birthday, is this true?" On the day of her birthday, the imperial consort wept endlessly and told the emperor that Jingwang threw her beloved pet, Piao Shui. Now that the emperor saw with his own eyes how Jingwang treated Piao Shui, he somewhat believed imperial consort Qi's words. But it wasn't because he liked Piao Shui, the cat. It was only a pet. So what if Jingwang hit it or killed it? The emperor obviously didn't care about that. It was only because the cat was related to the imperial consort and the imperial consort was at the very least, Jingwang's stepmother. Behind her also stood the second prince, who was currently the emperor's choice for crown prince. The emperor really didn't want Jingwang to be at odds with the future crown prince over this matter. Therefore, he summoned Jingwang over to ask about it to clear matters and give the imperial consort some justice in order to pacify her. Jingwang gave the imperial consort a cold glance but didn't intend to explain at all. Instead, he continued to play with his little carp with lowered eyes. For some reason, this little fish's cheeks kept bulging and puffing up. Whenever imperial consort Qi talked, the bulge was especially apparent, almost like it was angry. On the contrary, Jingwang felt somewhat amused. Could it be that even a fish was capable of understanding the imperial consort and her son's little scheme? End chapter. The disabled tyrant's beloved pet fish. Transmigration. Chapter 9, Fish turn its white belly. Because of Jingwang's lack of response, the emperor felt somewhat awkward. "Fifth brother, imperial father is asking you a question." Mu Tianzhao reminded him with a smile that's not quite a smile. Because of Jingwang's birth background, the second prince has always felt some fear towards Jingwang. Once he became the crown prince, he definitely needed to make up for it. Jingwang raised his head but completely ignored the second prince. Instead, he looked towards the head steward of the imperial palace, Luo Ruisheng. After Luo Gonggong learned that the emperor only permitted Jingwang to enter the hall by himself, he already made preparations. Since Jingwang needed it, Luo Gonggong ordered some of his assistant servants to bring over a brush, ink, and paper to place in front of Jingwang. Since he was unable to speak, he could only write to communicate. It was just not very convenient. Jingwang accepted the brush with his right hand, left hand still focusing on petting his fish. Without even looking, he swiftly finished writing some words and put aside the brush afterwards. Luo Ruisheng didn't dare to look at what Jingwang wrote. With his head lowered, he presented Jingwang's words to the emperor. The emperor looked down at the powerful brush strokes, feeling a wave of sentimental ache. But this wasn't the time to appreciate Jingwang's calligraphy because what Jingwang wrote was rightfully deserved. The emperor. As far as the emperors knew, Jingwang has never lied before. This was also why he was willing to directly summon Jingwang over for questioning. Even when Jingwang hit other princes before, he admitted it frankly. The emperor didn't feel like Jingwang would lie. Since Jingwang said that the cat deserved it, there must be some twist in the situation that the emperor didn't know about. He shouldn't be too hasty with his judgment. With a grave expression, the emperor looked towards head steward Luo and said, "Luo Ruishen, go investigate if anyone saw this event that day." Imperial consort Xu's complexion suddenly turned unsightly. She took so long to set all of this up, yet the emperor only read 2 words that Jingwang wrote carelessly and started to doubt her. Nevertheless, so what if someone was sent to investigate? Jingwang abusing her cat was the truth. She even had a witness. If Jingwang admitted it, that would be good. But if Jingwang refused to admit it and caused a ruckus, that would be even better. The imperial consort used a silk handkerchief that was embroidered with begonia flowers to wipe the corner of her mouth. Her somewhat sinister-looking face returned to its beautiful appearance. Xiao Linzi from the imperial kitchen was quickly brought over. Since this matter involved Jingwang, the emperor decided to inquire himself personally. Xiao Linzi knelt and recounted what he saw that day in a trembling voice. This servant saw that as soon as His Highness Jingwang saw the imperial consort's cat, he just grabbed the cat. Actually, imperial consort Xu had already made her trusted aide bribe Xiao Lingxi before the emperor summoned him forth. That's why she was certain the words of this witness were beneficial for her. "Your Majesty, looks like I didn't make a mistake. Shouldn't Jingwang give me an explanation?" Imperial consort Xu smiled faintly. "Jingwang, your explanation. So this was the result after all this questioning?" The emperor rubbed his brows, somewhat feeling tired of it all. A flash of cold ruthlessness crossed Jingwang's eyes. Xiao Linzi didn't speak the truth. Imperial consort Qi probably did something in secret. Jingwang originally planned to ask the emperor to summon the guard on duty at that time for questioning. Xiao Linzi can't be the only witness available in this huge palace. However, thinking about it again, he wasn't content with that anymore. First of all, it's uncertain if there were any other witnesses. However, even if there were, the 2 parties can insist on the validity of their own narration and nothing would be proven. There's no need to go through so much trouble. He might as well directly grab Xiao Linzi by the throat. Let's see if this person would straighten his story before his throat ruptures. This was the fastest and most efficient method to make someone tell the truth. Don't be like this. Liu was extremely worried. He read the original novel and can guess what kind of plan Jingwang had in mind under this kind of situation. But acting like this in front of the emperor might fall right into the imperial consort's schemes and cause extreme damage to the father and son relationship between Jingwang and the emperor. But if Jingwang didn't deal with this with his own method, what should be done? The imperial consort had meticulously set this all up. First, she asked the emperor to not let Wang Shi follow Jingwang during his imperial audience so that no one could speak for Jingwang. Now, there was even a witness testifying against Jingwang. What should he do? At that time, the only other witnesses present at the scene aside from Xiao Linzi, were only the cat and Liu. Xiao Linzi had been bribed. Liu can't speak human. How can he be a witness for Jingwang? Was he supposed to depend on his nemesis, the cat? Or perhaps, there's some other evidence. Liu even forgot to swim around. He quietly stopped at the bottom of the bowl, recalling how the white cat encountered Jingwang and how it rammed into Jingwang on purpose. In the end, he really did remember one thing. He remembered that when Jingwang was changing clothes, he accidentally peeked at him. He recalled that on Jingwang's leg, there was a bruise. That glance was really too hurried. At that time, he was somewhat embarrassed and didn't think about it too much. Not to mention, for a man, having injuries on their body wasn't really anything strange. Liu didn't think about it too much back then. Now that he was recalling it, that bruise just happened to be on the calf, around the same height as the cat. Could it be that it was the bruise left when Piao Shui slammed into Jingwang? This kind of possibility, if true, can prove that Jingwang was attacked by the cat and that his resulting actions against the cat were justified. Finally remembering it, Liu felt a wave of excitement. Immediately after, he encountered the most difficult question. How was he supposed to let Jingwang know of what he had remembered? Words weren't possible. He could only use a special method. Reacting resourcefully, Li Yu gathered the strength in his tail and waved it with all of his strength. Splish splash. Half of the water in the bowl actually spilled out because of the fish tail's large movement. Originally, even the fall of a needle could be heard in Ganqing Palace. The sound of water landing on the gold surface was even more ear-piercing. In the end, it attracted even the emperor's attention. "Jingwang, what's wrong with your fish?" the emperor asked, flabbergasted. Jingwang was originally looking at Xiao Linzi like he was looking at a dead man. With the little carp's sudden flailing, Jingwang turned around to look at the fish. The little carp was just waiting for him. Waiting for Jingwang to lean close, taking advantage of that moment right about now. Li Yu waved his tail quickly and viciously, swinging the water in the bowl completely towards Jingwang. In order to play with the little carp back then, Jingwang had already rolled up his sleeve and didn't get it wet at all. Now that he's been caught off guard and was splashed, his face was covered by water. His chest, clothes, and accessories were completely wet. The wettest one was his pants. Jingwang. With his complexion getting increasingly gloomy, Jingwang raised his palm to wipe away the drops of water on his face. Li Yu didn't dare to look him in the eyes and hid at the bottom of the bowl in a jiffy. Sob. 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 The tyrant was about to get furious. But he didn't have any other choice. He didn't expect that he would get Jingwang that wet. What if the tyrant dealt with him first then deal with Xiao Linzi before he decided to change? Aya, Jingwang. He was extending his hand towards Li Yu. Li Yu closed his eyes. He felt like the tyrant might kill this fish. But after waiting for a while, Jingwang's hand only lightly tapped him once on the head and then stroked his back. Li Yu. Jingwang gave the trouble-making little carp a glare, then got up and gestured to the emperor. The emperor understood and said, "Since it's like this, I permit you to go change. We will continue our discussion in a little while." Wang Shi was anxiously waiting outside the hall. Seeing the chance, he immediately entered, bringing Jingwang's clothes and helped Jingwang go change in a side room. Li Yu let out a sigh of relief. Good thing Jingwang didn't get mad. He purposely got Jingwang's pants wet in hopes that Jingwang could see the bruise on his leg while changing and remember to use that bruise as evidence. However, even if Jingwang didn't notice, it was okay. He managed to gain some time for Jingwang to calm down. Wang Shi was also permitted to enter. Now there's no worries about no one protecting Jingwang or not speaking for him. Jingwang and Wang Gonggong can definitely find a way to deal with the imperial consort. Worse comes to worse, even if they couldn't deal with her, it's not a big deal. At most the emperor would just tell Jingwang to apologize to the imperial consort but wouldn't actually do anything to Jingwang. It would only make the imperial consort and her son feel complacent for a while, that's all. Jingwang could pay them back for this in the future. Li Yu waved his tail happily at the situation he set up and waited for Jingwang to finish changing his clothes. Imperial Consort Xu also saw the fish that Jingwang brought over. Imperial Consort Xu resented and envied Jingwang for a long time already. Since Jingwang wasn't present, Imperial Consort Xu thought she would ridicule Jingwang a bit. Getting up, Imperial Consort Xu slowly walked over and looked at the fish in the bowl with some interest. Looking like she remembered something, she gave a light smile. Mu Tianzhao also followed over and said with a smile, "Mother, what kind of fish is this? How come this son has never seen it before?" Mu Tianzhao really has never seen this kind of live carp used for cooking. He saw the attitude of his birth mother, Imperial Consort Xu, and purposely asked this. Imperial Consort Xu pressed her lips together and then smiled sweetly, "My son is the descendant of emperors. How could you have seen this kind of lowly creature before? It's just the most common, ordinary fish that's used to make soup and food, that's all." Mu Tianzhao. Mu Tianzhao couldn't resist smiling as he said, "Fifth brother really has extraordinary tastes. But perhaps I should still ask Imperial Father to bestow fifth brother with a more valuable fish." This mother and son pair seemed to be looking at the fish. In fact, they were ridiculing Jingwang one after the other. Li Yu didn't even bother pretending and stopped before their eyes, listening openly. He was almost disgusted to death by these two people. They actually dared to say his master had bad taste right in front of him. Wasn't that equivalent to insulting Li Yu? They even said he was a lowly creature. Even the emperor didn't talk about him like that. Li Yu was so mad he splashed the water as he pondered how to counterattack. For a moment, Imperial Consort Xu was attracted over by this little carp. She's never seen such a lively fish before. Just now this fish splashed water all over Jingwang. Imperial Consort Xu didn't think the fish did it purposely. After all, it was only an extremely ordinary fish. Not worthy of any further thought. Yet Imperial Consort Xu definitely didn't expect that the nerve of this fish was far more than what she had imagined. Li Yu originally planned to splash water in the Imperial Consort's face. He already splashed Jingwang. Why should a cannon fodder be exempted? However, when the Imperial Consort walked closer to look at him, Li Yu suddenly caught a glimpse of a gold phoenix ornament hanging on Imperial Consort Xu's forehead. There was a thumb-sized shiny pearl held between the phoenix's beak, flashing past Li Yu's sight. Li Yu. Li Yu silently said, "Not good." A bad feeling gushed forth in his heart. Don't tell him. This was the night luminescent pearl required for the side quest. The system, who was silent for a long time, stated softly, "Host, you guessed correctly." Li Yu. Shitty system, can you be even more senseless? How was he, a fish, supposed to obtain the pearl hanging on the forehead of the emperor's favorite concubine? Splashing water directly wasn't good enough. The Imperial Consort was still a distance away from him. First he needed to trick Imperial Consort Xu to come closer, much closer. Then, Li Yu decisively flashed his fish tail. For the sake of night luminescent pearl and Jingwang, screw her. As for how to attract her closer, Li Yu remembered that in the novel, the Imperial Consort was extremely cunning, so she was a very suspicious person. Li Yu started to scheme. In order to deal with bad people, devious ideas are necessary. How does a fish flip onto its belly again? Li Yu mischievously rolled around, attempting to turn his stomach upward slowly. He held this pose and floated to the surface of the water and remained motionless. This position wasn't very comfortable for a fish. But if he managed to maintain it for a little while, there would no doubt be results. As the second prince conversed with Imperial Consort Xu, he just happened to look in the direction of the porcelain bowl. Unexpectedly, he saw Jingwang's fish twitch weirdly and then flipped over with its white belly facing up. "Mother, what's wrong with this fish?" the second prince blurted out. Imperial Consort Xu, who was originally still complacent, followed his gaze. Instantly, she felt her heart sinking. Didn't a fish only flip its belly up when it's dead? But this fish was clearly very lively just moments ago. Imperial Consort Xu didn't care if a fish lived or died. However, this was the fish that Jingwang brought over to show the emperor. The emperor was well aware of its presence. Now that Jingwang went to change clothes, she and the second prince were the closest to the fish. The fish suddenly died. How could they explain this? Could this be a scheme that Jingwang had planned because she was using Piao Shui to cause trouble for him? In retaliation, he brought a fish to cast blame on her and reverse the situation? This was extremely possible. Why else would Jingwang bring a fish to show the emperor? He was laying in the dark, waiting for her to fall for it. Imperial Consort Xu, who was well experienced with palace intrigues, suddenly came up with this conspiracy theory and started to panic. End chapter.